Hello everybody and a warm welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. It's myself, JP, and that's right folks, tonight I'm flying solo. So I'm here to have a wee chat tonight, guys and girls, about Celtic's up and coming Scottish Premier League fixture over St Johnstone. And then Celts get ready to travel up to Perth. What's been happening this week, folks? Well, we've had some news from the manager about Kasper Schmeichel's injury. Daizen Maeda reached the 30 mark in terms of goals from Saturday. And Celtic have been linked with some players so far this week. So yeah, quite interesting. And some stuff we'll get through tonight. I hope everybody that's tuning in with us is very well. It's good to see you all coming in the comments. Let me know how your week's been. We had a good week. Has it been a quick week, a long week? Been a bad week? Yeah, let me know what you're thinking. We'll come to some comments that are flying in early doors. As per, we've got Anne Jem first. Evening, JP, Lindsay, and the chat. Hope everyone is well. Well, I'm on myself tonight, so there's nobody here called Lindsay, unless you're referring to our Lindsay Greenwood, who normally comments in the chat with you two lovebirds. So I don't see Lindsay coming in yet. So we'll just need to remain to see if that's the one you mean, Ange, but definitely not on me anybody called Lindsay tonight myself. We've got Mark McDonald. Hail to the hosts and the chat. Good evening, Mark. Hope you are well. Paul Maguire, good evening, mate. Hope you're good as well. And a hail to yourself, pal. Good evening, Plunge. Hope you're well, pal. And Jem, have you sacked the other two, JP? Yeah, well, the secret's out now, isn't it? It's been a foregone conclusion that very thing, Ange, has been on the cards for some time now, due to the amount of time that those boys want to spend away now from the podcast. So, yeah, I had to put my feet down. I'm afraid Ryan and Alan are now no longer with us. So, onward we go. The show must go on, as Freddie says, and that's what I'm doing now. So, yeah, we'll wait and see if they want to write a letter of apology and see what's happening from there. Monty John too, good evening. Hail to yourself. Also, Big Rab, hail, big man, flying solo again, mate. Yeah, it's becoming a wee bit of a frequent thing now. I've always said on here anyway, Rab, like, I would never get any really bored, or I'd never get fed up, mate. I'd never be lonely either. Certainly with the amount of voices I've got going on in my head, I definitely won't be lonely. And good evening to yourself, Mr. John Shirley. No, I've got mates. I've definitely got mates. They're just not with me this evening. But there's always that one person in the chat, folks, isn't there? Like say John there, that gives you that wee kind of confidence boost whenever you're doing things like this yourself. Because, I mean, if I wasn't here, you'd probably be watching River City or something, John. So, aye, you need to start being nice, mate. Otherwise, I'll not continue to do these solo shows whenever I need to. But I hope you're well. Hope everybody is that's tuning in with us as well. So as I said, folks, let us know in the comments if you have had a good week, if you've had a bad week, if you have had a quick week, has it been a long week? Those of you guys with kids, small kids who are at school, I'll be looking forward to Easter holidays, I'm assuming. My son tomorrow stops school for 2 weeks. So I get to spend all my time just about with him. My daughter, unfortunately, she still has nursery to attend now for the next coming months. She starts school after the summer, so she's still got a bit to go. And unfortunately, her nursery doesn't close down, so she'll still be going there. JD88, hope all is well, people. Hey, well. JD, to be fair, mate, you might need to be careful with your word in there. I nearly read that a different way, and I thought you says, I hope all is well, all the people. I thought, for some reason, that came into my head there. So, I do apologise for reading that wrong. I'm good also, and I hope you're well as well. No, John, that's fine. I knew you were only kidding, mate. So was I when I said what I said as well. Right. First of all, folks, I just want to say, what's that, Rob? You had your kids very later in life, mate. Yeah, I did. Well, I was 34 when we had my wee boy. So he'll be 7 this July. My daughter's just turned 5. She was born in 2020. So yeah, I was quite older when I decided to have my family, mate. I decided to do it the other way. All my mates have, most of their kids are all kind of in their teens. 1 or 2 are in their 20s. So yeah, I've decided to wait, mate. I was enjoying life, going holidays, spending time with my good lady. I've been with my good lady quite a long time. I was 19 when I met my missus. I'm now 41. So we've been together basically all our adult life anyway. So yeah, we decided to hang on and do it properly. As Anne James just said there, yeah, they probably call that a sensible age to do it. Back in the day, a lot of couples were doing it a lot earlier. But yeah, so as I say, it's I wouldn't change it now. I wouldn't change it for the world. And I'm glad we did it the way we've kind of done it, because now we've got time now to bring my 2 up and really teach them the ways of the world and things that are going on. So I'm pretty good. There seems to be more comments coming in about when people had kids and what age they are and what kind of week have you had. Give me the kind of comments. Give me the week so far for you up to date, guys. Let us know what you are. Aye. Let us know what your thoughts are there. Paul Maguire, you're 51 and your son Dean's 35. There you go. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of these folk had kids a long time ago. A lot of my good mates are all really guys that I go out with and socialise with. All their kids they're all in their high teens now, turning into early 20s. So yeah, but I waited. I wanted to wait. Good evening, James. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're good. Hope you've had a nice week as well. Plunge, I'm your mate and I'm a papa. Yeah, well, there you go. So, again, mate, it's a different set of circumstances there. Aye, different strokes for different folks. JD, decent week, halfway through. Of course, I can't wait to get it over and done with. JP, you look a bit stressed. I'm actually the total opposite of that, JD. It's probably just the way I'm looking tonight. No, I'm definitely not stressed. I had a really good report tonight at my kids' parents' night, so no, I'm buzzing. I'm proud daddy moment for me earlier on. No, as I say, it's total opposite, mate. So, but aye, maybe just the way I look. I don't know. Maybe it's just I seem to get quite a lot of comments about the way I look for all different reasons. Saying I look like a gammon steak because I look red under this light, and I had a red tap on last week, I think. And quite a few comments came in about it being like the heart strip. It looked maroon. It must just be this light. I'm telling you, these lights play funny tricks on you when you're sitting here. Last few weeks of your 20s, there you go, mate. There you go. I remember about that one. I remember what that one's like. Barry, there you go. 42, your boy's 20. Yeah, so lots of people did it differently. So yeah. Joe Hart's ball patch, it was pink, big man. Aye, it must have looked, there you go, a different colour again. So that's what I'm saying. Look, these lights play funny tricks. People might think this is black, and it's not, it's navy blue. So aye, it's what you guys see is maybe different to what it is in reality. And Jem, busy week and hectic bloody night tonight. All right, okay. So what's been happening with yourself then? That you've had a hectic night tonight? Or do you just mean because you're on here watching me? Which one is it? Which one is it, Ange? Which one is that? Big Rab, rubbish week. Had to make people redundant due to national insurance rates. My work is cutting staff. Oh dear, mate. No, that's not the best, is it? That can't be the best when you're having to let people go. Yeah, it's hard. That's difficult. It's not the best when you need to do that. I've been in situations like that. I've worked beside guys who were bosses and they've done that very thing, and it's not the best, mate. But obviously it's no your individual fault as well, Rab. You need to remember that, mate. It's obviously company policy and it's whatever politics is going on in your work. So yeah, I seen a wee comment. I'm not ignoring you, mate. I was kind of saving it. Good evening to yourself, Nick. Hope you're well. What's your thoughts on a potential league reconstruction? What I'll do, Nick, if you're tuning in, mate, I will come back to that, okay? I'm actually going to save that and bring that up later as we go, mate, because it's a good point and it's something I'm going to mention as we move down the line. P. McLaughlin, my mum and dad had 3 of us by the time they were 24. Yeah, a lot of people are in that kind of circumstance, like that, Pat. So, it's one of those things, man. It is what it is. It's, you know, I keep telling people now, places like Tesco and Costco and stuff like that doing some good deals on TVs, man. Get yourself around, and that's also a way of keeping yourself busy, I suppose. More men than women are colourblind, and that is a fact. Oh, that's really set the cat amongst the pigeons, that one. If you're a man and you're reading that comment, do you agree? Do you not agree? If you're a woman reading that comment, are you just thinking that Ange shouldn't have just typed something at all? Let us know your thoughts. The little gamer. Hail to yourself, pal. Hope you're well. Ryan M. I'm 28 and feel 20 years older than that. My back kills me. Get yourself some deep heat, mate. And a tin of that WD-40. And be brand new in the morning after a nice hot shower. Just get yourself a good spray or get somebody to do it on your behalf. And aye, you'll be as good as gold as in the morning, mate. That's what I use now. I'm 41 now, mate. So I'm going through tons of WD-40 quite often, like a ton of deodorant. Every bit of me creaks and she thinks there's something wrong with the house. she's get workmen in here every 2 days. She thinks there's something wrong with the floorboards. It's just me trying to move a bit. Tremendous. And aye, don't worry about it. You'll get there. You will get there. Only stated a fact due to you looking red or pink. Well, which one was it? What would you say? What would you say? Would you say red or would you say pink? Which one would it be? Let us know your thoughts. Stop passing the button, deflecting away the other way. Let us know. Take responsibility, Ange. Red, there we go. We got an answer. Brilliant. There we go. So people said it was red, people said it was pink. I'm saying he's were on the glue. No, it's a red top. It's a red top. It's not maroon, it's not pink, it was red. But these lights do have some sort of, I don't know what you would call it, some sort of energy that surges, that makes people look a different colour when they're under them. Because I done it the other night with my daughter, and I took a picture. And again, she was in this bit of the kitchen, and she looks different in the photo. She had a wee kind of white top on, and in under these lights it looked yellow. So yeah, it definitely does do weird things for you. Good evening, Alan. How are you, mate? Hope you're well. Sorry I'm not able to join you, boys and girls. Yeah, disciplinary procedures are quite harsh nowadays, mate. So you just need to take your medicine. Big Rab, there's another question. What do you make of the striker versus winger? Do we need another top striker? Well, the team needs most improvements. Again, Rab, I'm going to save that and we'll come back to that one because that's a good point as well. JP, the colour tellies are knackered. I agree, James. I agree. Definitely agree. I agree. Change your lights, JP. No, the last person that says that, I took it to heart and they ended up in the Royal, mate. It was said differently to me, but it was, I'll put your lights out, JP. I got in there first. He's up in Word 24. So that was a night, and as JD thinks I look stressed tonight, that was a night I was stressed out, to be fair. I'm only kidding. No, there's nothing wrong with him. There's definitely nothing wrong with him. I quite like the lights. They're relatively new, so aye, there's nothing wrong with them. They're energy saving bulbs as well, so keeping the keeping it environmental friendly, as they all say. So yeah, there's Ange again. Changed my mind. It's burgundy. I'm going to do a whip run. The next comment I get in, you need to donate £1 to the channel, right? Regarding that colour, because we're going way off on a tangent now. So the next person to comment the colour, you have to donate £1, and I'll put up the PayPal before the end, and you can pay it into that, right? There we go, easy sorted. See who's wanting to comment now. That's a done deal. He's £1. JD, we need a defensive midfielder and a new striker. In my opinion, we're too weak in stealing the team. Again, I'm going to keep that, right, and we'll come to that because we'll bring them up as we go. Right, folks. As I says in one of the headings, Daizen Maeda hit the 30 club, not by age, but he scored 30 goals, or his 30th goal of the season on Saturday past. Now, not so long ago, we were hearing things like, Daizen's a winger, he's not a striker, don't put him through the middle, don't do it, don't do this, don't do that, bring in another striker, do that. The man has made us forget all about Kyogo. Not in a bad way, not disrespectfully, but he's made it very easy for us to forget quickly that we had Kyogo at the beginning of the season. Now, there was an array of panic amongst our support. And when I say panic, I mean people jumping off the Kingston Bridge into the River Clyde. So there was a panic about Kyogo leaving, and we never got a replacement in. Not many already foresaw the replacement was already at the club. It just hadn't been played through there. Now, I had a chat on here on Monday night, folks. I don't know if you all remember, with Mr. Barry Bannon. And Baz told me that he thinks we've been hard done by. And we've not had the way we should have had it in terms of Maeda through the middle more often. Anybody I've spoke to now, and I've spoke to the boys, Ryan and Alan, there is an argument now that Daizen is better, or every much bit of importance as Kyogo was for Celtic. Now, that's not disrespectful. That's not forgetting what Kyogo did, because I was vocal on here about Kyogo, and I'll go on record again tonight and say it, that I thought Kyogo was the best striker Celtic had since Henrik. I am now going to have to adapt my opinion on that, because Daizen Maeda is... I'm going to just say it, man. He's every bit as good, if not better, than Kyogo. I don't think anybody can argue against that. His goal return alone speaks volumes. And by the way, I was listening to Brendan's recent interview, and he says that Daizen's only went there in February. He only started going through the middle more regularly in February. He'd already played half the season from the wide area, and he was our top scorer then. So for me, with Daizen hitting over 30 goals, he's going to totally demolish Kyogo's record. Kyogo sits at 34. We now have a real situation now, because he's made us really, really strong now in the forward area. And I would say now, folks, and again, it's not being disrespectful and it's not being forgetful of Kyogo's service for us, but you have to deal with the here and now, and you have to deal with what we're seeing. So you're not just seeing a guy scoring goals. You're seeing a guy who also had real talent. You've seen a guy who had to work. People were saying he didn't have the best technique. He didn't. Some of his one-touch finishes, some of his touch and goal, and his movement is unreal. Like, you look at the Hearts game just on Saturday there, he makes the 2 goals. His movement for the run for Callum McGregor to put him in, his movement is unreal. And then his second goal, he actually has to adapt his run 3 times in the one passage of play. So he's got to make sure he's onside. And again, he's got to be looking along the line, but just his sheer timing is, I mean, I don't think I've seen anything like it. And his movement for Jota's, ended up Jota's goal, was just unbelievable. He goes across the face of the defender and ultimately in behind the other centre-back, splitting both of them. And makes Nicholas Kuhn's job a lot easier with just the movement, because Nicholas Kuhn then finds that floated pass over to Daizen. And just absolutely frightening. And it's absolute quality. And he's doing it at a very high level. I think what's astonishing for me is the only game he's not scored in the 90 minutes was the Bayern game away. To me, that is unreal. I think that's been since, is it January? If someone knows better in the comments, you can correct me here, but since January, the only game Daizen Maeda has not scored in the 90 minutes in is the Bayern away game. And you know what really gets me, guys and girls? See, when he's doing it, he does it with a smile on his face. I've played with a lot of different players through the years. I've played with guys. A lot of guys don't like running. I mean, players will tell you that themselves. They don't like running. They don't like having to get up and down the pitch. He does it both ways, in an attacking sense for Celtic and in a defensive side for Celtic, and he does it with a smile on his face. Yeah, Pat, but that's what I'm saying. Since January, that's the only game he's not scored in. The Bayern game, since that game there. So, that's impressive, mate. You talk about one game domestically and only one game in Europe. Since January, he's failed to score in. I don't know many players that can say they've kind of done that. So yeah. And good evening, Scott. How are you, mate? Hope you're well. Late again, just in for work. Hope everybody's well. Nah, you've not missed much, mate. I was just killing time till you got here, actually. As I said, I hope you're well. It's frightening. It's absolutely frightening. We're talking about this guy possibly been the best, you know. No, he doesn't know how to. I mean, that's the thing. He doesn't know how to. He must just go home at night and plug himself in to get ready for the next day. I mean, it's phenomenal. Any small injuries he's had in his time at Celtic, he's only been out a few games and then he's been back. Like last year, he was supposed to miss the rest of the season, and he was back before the end of the season to help the team. And yes, I mean, it's absolutely frightening. Really, really, it's a massive, massive weapon for not only Celtic, but for Japan. And I think the big one, folks, for me is he plays before Kyogo with Japan. So it's pretty clear that Japan rate him higher than they do Kyogo. But that's not been a new thing. That's been through the number of years. Even since we've known Daizen, he's always played with Japan before he's played with Kyogo. I had this conversation with my dad. My dad always says, why do you think Kyogo left Celtic? It surely can't just be solely on the Japan thing. And I said, well, what do you mean? And my dad says, he's probably all seen my dad because he's been on the dial-in a number of times now. And my dad says to me, well, Daizen and Hatate both play for Japan and they get picked for squads and they go away with Japan. I said, yeah, but you're missing one key factor, Dad. He said, what? I said, with Japan currently have another one or two Kyogos in their team who are capable of going in and doing what Kyogo did for Celtic. And they don't have another Daizen. They've not got another guy who can run like that, who's got that speed and an element of physicality as well. Because when Daizen runs at you, he doesn't just stop when he gets to you. He lets you, he hits you. He lets you know he's there. He's got that energy that can get up and down the pitch the whole game, regardless of how long the game lasts. If the game goes to extra time, it's fine. He's not getting tired. Yeah, Scott, I had a chat with yourself. You were actually one of the Celtic fans I alluded to, mate, in terms, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, in terms of slightly worried at where the goals were going to come from when the wee man get sold on to Rennes for 10 million. And I told you, I says to you, nobody is looking at Maeda. I think I said it to Big Alan as well, and Alan says, no, Brendan doesn't want to have to put, and I got that, I can understand where, I did hear Brendan say that, like everybody did, but I did say that's the option. That's where the replacement is. Because we have everything in abundance with him. And you don't play with Japan and score goals against Germany and help your team get through and qualifying and stuff if you've not got a bit about you. Because Japan are a Diddy team. They're a good side. They've got a lot of good up-and-coming players. So have South Korea, by the way. So the Asian football is on the up. Just because a lot of fans don't really look out for that result, or they don't look out for... And it was only Big Ange that kind of brought Celtic fans' attention to that market. But no, with what you're saying there about me saying to you about Maeda, it's just phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. And like I say, Scott, I'm not one of those guys that, I'll turn around and go, I told you so or whatever, but I did highlight it to you because the simple fact of I knew I kind of had every confidence and I foresaw that coming because, it was a no-brainer. It was an absolute no-brainer. It's took now for Kyogo to move on And now I would say, folks, Daizen's the main man. Now everybody's got their favourites, everybody's, Jota on the wing and everything else. But he's becoming Celtic's main man. It's got to a point now, folks, Brendan's talking about how invaluable he is to that squad. You're talking about offering him a contract that he really cannot refuse. See, when Brendan says that he wants to sit down with Dermot and Daizen's officials, that's what that means. That's prime time. Daizen's going to get a massive wage rise to what he's on just now. That's what that means. It means we'll give him enough money where he's happy to stay. And those kind of guys are different in terms of their culture, in terms of the way they live life. Daizen and his family were living in a flat, one of the big flats in Park Circus. Now, they have just recently moved into a new bought property up in Mulgai. So that's a big sign to me that Daizen's not in a hurry to be going anywhere. And Daizen doesn't need guys like Kyogo and Hatate there to, it's not a pals act for him. He's not there to appease his mates. And if his mates aren't playing, I'm not going to play. No. It's, Daizen, he's found a home here. And I don't think Daizen's one of those ones that's going to be... I'll be really shocked if Daizen leaves anytime soon. And if he does, it'll be because Celtic are selling him on for major money. And that's what it's going to take, because he's invaluable to the squad. I would say Daizen's Celtic's version of Harry Kane. He's that important to the squad. Because for me, Daizen's irreplaceable. Where else are you going to get another player like that who runs like him? So, yeah. He is like Danny, the champion of the world of the modern day era, 100%. I would agree. Rab, I've seen me bits and bobs, mate. He's not really played a lot of the games. I know he got a bad injury just before Christmas, but he's been in and out with injury, with Hibs. So I'm going to be honest now, mate. I'm not holding out a lot of hope for the boy. I don't think he'll be staying on. He'll either go away again and loan, or he'll be moved on permanently, I would imagine, in the summer. I don't think he'll be staying. That's my honest opinion. I really don't see it. Football's a funny old game. It changes quickly. Who knows? But so far, I've not seen enough to say, right, there's enough in him I would keep. So I do think he might be moving on. Jeffery Schlupp, folks. What's the Celtic fans' take on Jeffery himself? Me personally, I think he's come up and he's done amazing. I think he's come up and he has settled really, really well. I think he's acquitted himself really well. He's got to know, he obviously knows the manager really well. He's played under him and he's got to know his teammates and he's got to grips with what it's like up here. He's played with teams down south that, you get away with drawing, you can get away with losing. We'll go again next week. Up here, you need to win every week. And see that, folks, a lot of Celtic fans, for me, don't take that into consideration. That's a massive, massive thing when it comes to players that are not here and they're not really in the thick of it the way we are. We were born into it. So we know what the culture's like here. Especially foreign players. Foreign players come here and, it's an eye-opener. It's a massive eye-opener. So Jeffery Schlupp's played for teams like Crystal Palace, Leicester. People go, he's played in the best league in the world. Okay, fair enough, he has. But this is the biggest club he's likely to ever play for in his life. And this is up there, folks. This is, you look at the fan bases of Man United, Liverpool's, this is well up there. Jeffery Schlupp now, even if he only comes this loan period and then he moves on, he'll now go on holiday. He'll go to Dubai. He'll go and meet people now, and he'll meet Celtic fans the rest of his life who'll remember him for being at Celtic. Especially if Jeffery now goes on and helps Celtic to lift the rest of the treble. So he'll be remembered now forever. And I don't want to be disrespectful because, again, down to finances and everything else, yeah, it's a more equipped league and it's a better league than up here, and fair enough. But at Crystal Palace and Leicester, you don't really get those kind of accolades. You don't, you know, you can go anywhere in the world, you might not get noticed. Whereas now, because he's pulled on that green and white jersey and he's won things and he's helped Celtic win titles, and he's gonna get, I don't want to say pestered, but he'll meet people with the rest. I mean, Gordon Strachan still talks about it now. Anywhere he goes, he meets a Celtic fan. That's what happens. That there is what it is all about in a nutshell. You're either going to meet a Celtic fan that loves you, or you're going to meet one of their fans that don't. So one way or another, you're going to get attention. Yeah, Rab. Yeah, listen, every player makes mistakes, mate. Larson made mistakes. Not everybody's perfect, pal. It's how you... What defines players for me, Rab, is how you bounce back for that. What's your attitude like? Are you hiding? Or are you showing that you've got that hunger and desire in order to put what you did wrong right? And for me, mate, he's been, in my opinion, put it this way, see tomorrow, if Celtic was to announce Jeffery Schlupp in a 2 or 3 year contract for next season, I think I'd be doing backflips, mate, because of the level of player. I mean, you've picked out a couple of things there that he's done wrong. What about the Bayern away game? He was absolutely sensational. And the boy Elise got a hard time off him the whole night. Now, that boy Elise ran over the top of Greg Taylor at Celtic Park. And again, it was only a couple of mistakes that Greg made that night. I didn't actually think Greg was bad that night, but, that boy Elise, in a couple of moments, one being the goal, that night he made Greg look quite average. Now, as you know, Rab, on here, mate, I've sang the Greg Taylor hymn sheet many a times, mate, and I've been very vocal on here about how good a player I think Greg is and everything else. But Jeffery Schlupp, for me, brings a different thing to Celtic than what Greg Taylor does. Because when Greg plays, teams target that area because he's height and stuff like that. You don't really see that area being targeted as much now with Schlupp, because his aerial ability and the way he can win the ball and his physicality level as well. He's quite deceiving, Jeffery. He looks as if he's slow, but he's got that turn of speed. And you look at his ball, which led to the first goal, that was his right foot. Now, for me, in that split moment, when you look at the all-round play and the way we played on Saturday, for me, if Greg Taylor's in that passage of play, I think the ball goes back to Sinisalo. I don't think Greg Taylor plays that first-time pass into McGregor. And for me, Rab, I think there's small differences between the two of them there, and that's one of them. And no disrespect to this league, but playing in the Premier League is why there's the difference, because he's been exposed to that higher level. He's been exposed to that higher level of opposition and higher level of quality week in and week out. So Jeffery knows how to handle himself in those situations. I like to say derby. You talk about derbies, mate, right? Derbies can grip a hold of you. Derbies can really get a hold of you, and sometimes they can get the better of you. But then the next one, you have that chance to shake that off and do better. And for me, we need to give Jeffery that chance in order to do that. I also didn't think, I agree with Barry Bannon for Monday, I didn't think Schlupp was one of our worst players in the derby. Albeit, you're as you pointed out, Rabbi made a couple of mistakes, but by goodness, he played better than one or two others who continuously made mistakes on the day. And by the way, some of these guys, the Celtic fans sing their name week in and week out as one of our great players. So nobody in the Celtic team's above criticism, including Callum McGregor. And Greg Taylor's a brilliant technician. He's an absolute brilliant technician. I love the way he comes in field. He helps out the midfield and stuff. But for me, in terms of physicality and everything else, I think it's something in that position we have lacked. And unfortunately, the cover that we've had previously to Greg has been better than. So unfortunately, he's not had that challenge. Now listen, we all know why Greg's moving on. It's nothing to do with finances or, he's wanting to move on to a better thing, or he thinks he's going to get a bit. He just knows his game time's going to be limited. And it is, because Kieran Tierney's world class. So his game time's going to be limited. And that's why Greg's moving on. Jeffery Schlupp is at a different point in his career now. So Jeffrey's had a luxurious career down in England. And he's earned some good money through the way. Now I would imagine Jeffrey's at the point where he might want to start winning medals and some trophies before he starts, getting to those ages where he needs to hang up his boots. And there comes a point, for me, football is all about winning something. It's not about earning as much money as you can. Comes across like that nowadays, but for me, that's crazy. When you look at footballers, I judge my time when I played 11-a-side football down to how successful I was, how driven I was, the way I set myself out when I went out and played games. And, I used to beat myself up. Anybody that meets my dad can ask him. I used to beat myself up. I was my own biggest critic because if I scored a goal, I should have scored 2 goals. If I scored 2, I could have scored 3. I used to really, really beat myself up about it. But I had that winning mentality. I had that sort of competitive edge in me. And that's a hard thing to have. It really is. It's a difficult thing to have. Because lots of kids and younger kids now, they just give in. They just, I'll move on to something else. And they just kind of throw in the towel early. I love players that don't. Players that try. Players that want to succeed. They'll give their all. The guys that train hard might not be the best player on the team, but it doesn't matter if you're the silkiest or the most skillful or the most technically qualified player in the side. If you don't train well, and the guy there who might have lesser ability than you on the ball, the guy that trains harder is going to play more. It's a fact, especially in the modern day game now. Sorry, having some talent, but it's not enough. You need to work at it. You need to put in the miles and put in the effort. You need to really work at it and polish it and sharpen the saw, is the term it's used for it. And if you don't, then you tend to fall by the wayside. So for me, Greg Taylor's probably he's probably at a point now that he's ready to go. And for Celtic, he needs to go. It's probably similar with Hatate. I think Hatate's at that point now where he needs to go. I actually think Hatate's not a starter next season if he remains in the side. So I don't think he starts as many games. And I don't think, personally, folks, I don't think we're going to see anything different now from Reo Hatate. I don't think this is just my opinion. I don't think he's going to get any better for Celtic. I think we've seen Hatate at his best for us. So I think for Reo, he might want to move on. He might want to do something different. But he's been there 3.5 years now, guys. So for me, I think he's probably going to be one of the ones that move on in the summer. I've not heard anything, by the way, so I hope nobody thinks for a minute I'm speaking because of knowledge or anything. This is just my opinion. I do think that Reo's at a point now with Celtic that he needs to move on. And as is Greg Taylor. I think Greg knows himself he needs to move on. Because, yeah, he will play some games, but he's not going to play the amount of games and the volume of games he's already played. Because Kieran Tierney's coming back. And this is the thing as well. This for me isn't getting talked enough about it by the Celtic fans. We've signed Kieran Tierney already. He's the first signing in the summer window. Already agreed and in the door. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. We sold Jota and Kieran Tierney for a total of 50 million. And we brought the two of them back to the club for 8 million quid. It's not getting talked about enough. And people give your board a hard time. We give your board a hard time. Here we go. Plunge. Why does Reo need to move on, JP? I disagree. No, fair enough, mate. The reason I think he needs to move on is because I think he'll be the one next season that is not a regular starter. I think when you look at Champions League, I think he gives the ball away far too much. I think he's suspect to having his caught in transition. And I think that night against Dortmund, when he came on and he made an impact, that only happened because he was on the bench. If he'd have started that game, I thought that, we'd have probably get beat with more. But there's a lot of games this season, Plunge, where he's kind of gave the ball away. And I know Big Alan on here's spoke volumes of him, and he's as much as a fanboy with Hatate as probably Ryan is, as he keeps saying he has with Engels. It's not about bringing in. I don't think it's about bringing in somebody better, Plunge. But we definitely need somebody else to challenge, because, like I says, mate, he's been with the club 3.5 years now as well. And I don't think we're going to see Hatate get any better with us. That's my personal opinion. Because he's not progressing. He's not, for me, he's not one of the ones that, like you could see the progress. You look at the progress in Daizen Maeda, for example. You look at the progress in the way Matt O'Reilly was playing before he moved on, albeit he's, again, other circumstances have took control of what's happening now for him. But at the time with Celtic, his progress was steadily growing. For me, Hatate's isn't. Good question, Paul. Who replaces Hatate? I do think Brendan will buy someone. Now, whether that someone be the big rumour of Lennon Miller, I don't know. I don't know if that boy's the next one to come in. I do think as we get into next season, though, Paul, I think Hatate will find himself as a squad player. I think if he stays with Celtic, that is, I think he will be a squad player next season, mate. Because I don't think especially in the Champions League, I don't think he plays well enough in that position. I think it was the Aston Villa game. And you look at the 2 goals. One of them, he gives the ball away again stupidly, and it gets turned over quickly in the midfield, and they score quite early in the game. He's, yeah, I don't think he's. I don't think he's. It's not that he's not suited to it. I just think Paul, he's just. Call it a hunch, call it whatever you like. I don't know what you would call it, but I'm calling it a hunch. I just think personally that he'll not be the number 1 choice to play there next season if he's still with Celtic. But I do think the time has come where Reo is probably going to look to move on as well, because he's been there now 3.5 years. It's probably coming to the end of that cycle. And this is what happens in football, folks. Football have a cycle. And you look at Man City. Man City's dominance is coming to an end in the Premier League this season now. And again, it's due to this. I know from January, they're trying to rebuild a bit of the squad, but their cycles came to an end because players are aging, time has went by, teams are sussing out what he's trying to do. And it must be difficult to continuously keep coaching the same way. And I'm not really sure that would be the case, Parkhead Boy. What is Kuhn's value? I mean, what the Celtic fans think, or what's the overall thoughts behind what do people think that we're going to get for him? Give me a realistic figure. If you're talking 20s to 30s, you're living in a dreamland, in my opinion. Yeah, Scott, exactly. Right off the top of my head, mate, I think you were lucky to get anywhere in between that, or even close to the 12. I think if Celtic get anything for 10 upwards, they'll snap their hand off. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. You're never getting 20 million for Nicholas Kuhn. No way. If Nicholas Kuhn goes again next season with Celtic and does the exact same and has the same input that he does in Champions League again, and he hits similar numbers domestically again, then you'd probably go, yeah, okay. But for me, he's not done enough that way. He's not been there long enough to do it over a longer period of time. That's just my opinion, but I don't think you'll be getting anywhere upwards. I think you'll be lucky. Well, Scott says between 12 and 15 million. So yeah, I think you'll be lucky to get that. And I think the realistic figure would be, I think Celtic would sit round the table with anybody that goes anywhere near 10 and just upwards for 10, because who knows, wingers are inconsistent. Parkhead Boy, yeah, I mean, again, I'm being honest, right? I don't think it's went over the 20 mark. For me, again, it's hard because we've not had a bidding war for him, have we? We've not really had anybody coming in and really having a go at testing the water with him. And yeah, since Jota has returned, I think everybody in their granny can notice a big difference in Kuhn. He's not been the same player. He's not had the same input, and his goals have dropped off now as well. Now, I know he played well on Saturday, and I know he was, he made a good input at the weekend. But again, his goals from, if you look at the beginning of the season, him and Daizen were kind of battling it out for the top scorer. Now his side of things have dried up, whereas Daizen's have really, really kicked on. They have really went to new heights and set a new bar. And Daizen's probably going to equate Kyogo's best record, which was 34. So, yeah, as I said, like, I don't think there's ever been a point where you could really look at Nicholas Kuhn and go, I think we'll get 25 million for him. I don't think that's came. I don't even think you'll be lucky to get 6 or 7, I think, if you were to buy Reo Hatate just now. Me personally. And I think you'd be doing well to get that for him. Because, again, Hatate's had one of those kind of yo-yo seasons where he's been up and down, and, you know, he's been good one minute and then he's been poor. Quite recently, I was speaking to Celtic fans at the games, and they were saying that the negative side of Hatate's game was outweighing the positive side. You know, he's got those moments of quality. But again, I just personally think these guys are, you know, Reo Hatate anyway is coming to an end. I think someone will take him in the summer, but I think Reo will be looking to move on as well, because he's, like I says, it's all about cycles now in football. And I think his cycle is coming to an end. Yeah, Rab, I think that would be fair, mate. I agree. I do agree with you, mate. I think that would be fair. What was it we paid for him? Was it like 1.5 million or something like that? So, yeah. I think that would be fair. I do. I think that would be decent. Monty, fair play, mate. If that's, you know, if that's your thinking, if that's your estimation on that, I don't know where you're getting that from, mate. I don't know who's coming in and paying that. I don't know what club are coming in to bid that. I don't think any team in Japan are going to pay that back from him. And I would have said his early form at the start of the season, if he continued that on, you could have had an argument for upwards between 5 and 10, but I don't think you're getting double figures for Hatate. I'm being as realistic as I can. I don't think you're getting anywhere near that from him. I don't think he's given anything that would warrant that. And if Celtic managed to get that, then phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, he is, mate. Yeah, he is. But unfortunately, those days are far and few between, mate. 1 minute he's good, and he plays 4 and 5 bad games after that. So, yeah, he's 100%, mate. He's definitely, he is untouchable. You are right, mate. No, I can't disagree with what you're saying. However, he's not, I'm afraid he's not consistent enough. And I think if Celtic were to ask for 10 million, he's in his early 20s, Monty. He's in his early 20s, mate. I think he's 23 or 4, maybe. I'll check just now. Hold on. I'll do a wee check just now. Reo Hatate. There we go. He's actually 27. Jeez, I thought he was younger. He's actually 27, so there you go. That's surprising. I thought he was younger. I'm being honest, guys. I thought he was younger. I really did. For some reason, I thought he was early 20s. I thought he was young when we got him. But Plunge, that's totally fine. Totally fine, mate. You can disagree all you want. That's the beauty of it, mate. We all have different opinions. But I would be interested to hear your thoughts. You know, the way you're thinking in terms of Reo Hatate, mate, because I think we can all see Hatate's not getting any better. He's not getting better. Celtic, the way I see it, Celtic only going to see Hatate being better now. We've seen Hatate at his best is what we're going to see his ability. And he's been here 3.5 years now. So getting into next season will be his 4th season. He came in January, remember? So, yeah, like I says, 100%. It's all about opinions, mate, but I don't see where... First of all, I don't see where Hatate is... Where you're getting 10 million for Hatate. I don't see who's paying that. Where's he going? What kind of clubs is going to come in for Reo in a realistic footballing world? Where do you think he's... Where do you think he's going to go, Plunge? Where do you think Reo Hatate is going to go? Because I don't think one of the top teams are coming in from. I really don't. Kaiser, he's not been injured all season, mate. He's not been injured all season. He's been injured periodically. He was out and in last season. He's played quite a long part of this season, mate. And you're not getting no chances he got to Germany for 23 million, mate. It's no real. That's just no reality. He's not gone to Germany for 23 million, mate. Nobody in German football's paying 23 million quid for Reo Hatate. He's 27. And he's not even Celtic's best player. So he's played quite a lot of this season, mate. I think if you check total games this season, mate, he's played quite a large part of this season. He's not been out and in and in. He was out and in last season. He's not been out and in this season, mate. He's played the whole Champions League campaign. He played in every one of the Champions League games this season, whether it be off the bench or starting. But he's definitely not going to Germany for 20. You're never getting 23 million quid. Never are you getting 23 million quid for him. But the thing is as Saul Sutherland's just said there, Kyogo went for 10 million. The Kyogo was 30. But what I'm saying, Plunge, is I'm not saying you're not. I'm saying you'll be lucky to get that from. You'll be lucky to get that from. Teams aren't going to pay 23 million quid for Reo Hatate. It's not happening. I'm not even a betting man, right? I'm not a gambler. And I know I certainly wouldn't put that bet on. Reo Hatate, he'll probably likely move on from Celtic. I think Celtic will be lucky to get about 6 million quid on Reo Hatate. And I'm being honest. And I'm being really honest. Monty, you must be having a bad day. Because it seems like every time you come on, of recent, mate, you're having a bad day. Aye, 100%. By the way, I never said 10 either. I definitely never said 10. I said you'll be lucky to get 10. I think between 5 and 8 is my window where I think Celtic will be lucky if they get that from. Yeah, that one was, Monty. That one definitely was, mate, because that one was a talisman. That 30-year-old was a born predator who was an absolute machine, goal-scoring machine. So that one was, definitely. And Kyogo was far better than Hatate. Kyogo, on his time at Celtic, was far superior to what Hatate's been. And that's just a fact. So in that incident is what you're talking about, then yeah, definitely Kyogo was worth more than Hatate. I've just explained how that was. I've just told you how that was. Because he was far superior. That one isn't a difficult one. That one's quite easy. Kyogo was far superior and is far superior than Reo Hatate. Put it this way, right? Apart from not having, just say we didn't have Daizen Maeda, right? If you take Kyogo out the Celtic team, bearing in mind Daizen Maeda's not there, you would notice the difference. We have not noticed that because of how good Daizen is. It shows you how good our squad's been. If you take Reo Hatate out the Celtic team, in my opinion, you don't notice he's not there. You don't notice he's not there. So for me, that's the night and day difference between two players. So for that one, yes, that 30-year-old was much more important to the squad than Hatate. 100%. And it's, I mean, it's, my help isn't needed with that. It's there. You can go and you can see that for yourselves. Right, folks, a wee quickie on St Johnstone and what we might face as we go there on Sunday. So St Johnstone get walloped at the weekend with Hibs. They lost 3-0. Goals were scored by Junior Hoylett, Martin Boyle and Kieran Bibby. St Johnstone had a team set up of Fisher in goals, a back three of Balodis, Mitchell Douglas, Wright, Holt, Sprangler, Curtis, Griffith, Svedberg and Kirk. We were up against a team, guys and gals, who are fighting for their lives. Now, they sit rock bottom of the Premier League, played 31 and they're only on 26 points. Do you know they've not even conceded the most goals? So they've actually only conceded 57 goals this season. For a team that's rock bottom, you would expect they've probably conceded the most. And they've not. Dundee have actually conceded the most, and they're second bottom. They have conceded 67 goals. But, up against a team fighting for their lives at the bottom end of the table. Since Valakari has come in, they haven't really, for me, they've not got really any better. They've kind of really flattered to deceive. They've got some players who, in my opinion, should be playing Championship football, League One football. That's probably why they've struggled the way they have. They've been setting up probably the same way now for a number of weeks. The last one was obviously against Livingston in the Scottish Cup, and that was back in the 10th of March. So they won 1-0, so it wasn't really convincing. And they drew 0 each with Aberdeen off the back of that cup win. And we watched them at the weekend. I've seen their score at the weekend and they get thumped 3-0 with Hibs. Prior to that, I mean, they'd drawn with Dundee. They get beat by Hearts, lost 3-1 to Kelly. Realistically, the run that they've been on when they have been winning has been, in the Scottish, which is why they're in the semi-final against us. But like I says, it is away from home. The pitch is probably, had a wee look at that today, it looks absolutely horrendous. So if the weather is poor over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, we're probably going to be in for a torrid time. We might need to adapt the way we play, because Celtic like to play some really good football, try and play through the lines, play with speed. Unfortunately, if your pitch isn't up to it, then either they're going to be up against it. But Celtic, again, should be looking to capitalise on how poor they've been and really, really stamp their authority in the game. It could be a tough game. It could be a damp squib. Obviously, Rangers, they play Hibs on Saturday at 3 p.m. at Ibrox. And we need to wait till Sunday. But the game's at 12 o'clock, folks. In case anybody thought the game was later, it's at 12 o'clock. I just think that's, even for TV, I think that's an absolute shambles, guys and girls. The Celtic fans, again, have to get up really, really early on Sunday morning to travel to Perth to be there for 12 p.m. for the kickoff. I know the game's on Sky. And then the following Saturday, we're at Celtic Park against Kilmarnock for a 12:30 kickoff. Again, the game's on Sky. So it seems to be that these, we have to bend over backwards here for the TVs. And it's... Aye, Parkhead boy, how can I forget? And go to Mass. It's an absolute catastrophe. Sunday's knackered for quite a lot of people. JP, is there something I could have hit on here to lose the sound and not the volume button? Yeah, you've probably muted your device, whatever it is you're listening from or watching from or whatever it is you're doing. You could have muted the speaker, so there's no sound coming through. Whatever it may be, hope you get it sorted. Don't worry, you're not missing much. Anyway, I'm just chatting about St Johnstone. A lot of Celtic fans will think that it's boring. But, yeah. Some interesting... Obviously, they've got the boy Dre Wright. They've got the boy Jason Holt. Barry Douglas, a well-known face around Scottish football. His time at Dundee United. He played over in Poland with Lech Poznan. I think they've got Graham Carey. He scored that specky as well against Livingston in the Cup. So they do... they do have some, some weaponry. But with Celtic having, the full week to prepare, you would like to think Celtic have got enough to take care of that, and Celtic can go and do the business. I don't see why Celtic will change too much with their squad. I think their squad will stay relatively the way it was on Saturday when they beat Hearts. There's not really much now for Celtic to chop and change. It's not like we're playing every couple of days the way we were when we were in Europe. The games aren't thick and fast. They're kind of every week now. And we're coming to the end of the season now, folks. We're getting to that business end of the season, as I like to call it, with there's trophies and medals being handed out and things like that. So I think when you get to that, you can start to settle down the team, start playing a settled team. Celtic fans have liked to look at Mike Nawrocki of recent weeks. He's come in and done well, in my opinion. I hope some sort of future can be laid out for that lad, because I'd like to see more of him. I'd like to see more of other individuals in the squad. I want to see us try and keep Jeffery Schlupp, as I said earlier tonight. I think Jeffery Schlupp would be a good acquisition for the squad, especially to get a guy like that in where you're not having to pay a transfer fee for. You can just try and agree a wage. Good question, Plunge. Is Luke McCown better than Hatate? If so, why does Brendan play Hatate? I think it might be down to experience, mate, more than anything. Hatate is one of the most experienced players in the Celtic team now. He's been there, like I said, 3.5 years. He's one of the nucleus of the kind of familiar faces that they've managed to keep around the squad. Luke's just come in the summer, but I do think Hatate will be, as Barry Bannon likes to call it, does he call them substitutes? He calls them finishers. I do think next season, if Hatate stays, then he'll find himself more on the bench. I think he's starting place for in the team is definitely in jeopardy. And yeah, I don't think we can argue. I mean, this is how good the Celtic squad is. We're even having arguments now about, do you think Luke McCown's better, JP? Well, I think, Luke McCown has come in and he's done very, very well. And but everybody gives the ball away. I mean, but the thing with Reo Hatate, he does it in European nights when nobody's with him, nobody's even near him, and he just turns aimlessly. I mean, many times have you seen him turn on a half turn and play that ball into the midfield and just give the ball away and turn over possession. So, I mean, there's our Ryan in the chat now. So, myself and Ryan have been very vocal about it on here. I don't dislike Reo Hatate. Let me just put that out there now. Do I think Celtic can get better? I do think they will get better. I think somebody will come in, whether it be Luke McCown or if it's going to be Lennon Miller, or if it's going to be someone else, I don't know. Someone will be added to that squad in order to really challenge and really put pressure on Reo Hatate's place. That's what I believe. But Celtic they're not getting high money for Reo Hatate. Not a chance. He's not had, in my opinion, the best season in the team. He's not Celtic's best player. So he's a fantastic player when he's on it. But this season, me personally, have seen more flaws in his game. And I think, personally, if you're a scout looking at that, then I don't think, like a couple of years ago, we seen teams like Brighton, teams like, who was it? Was it Bournemouth? Coming in for him. I think you'll be hard pushed for teams like that. Yeah, I agree, Ryan. I think earlier on, mate, I was on here. I was told I was talking nonsense right enough when I said that in comments. But I do agree. I think the European nights, he's I think we need a change. I think his place is in jeopardy. I really do. I think he's the one. But I mean, Barry. Obviously, I'm not the only person to see it. Barry Bannon said it on Monday night's dial-in show. I think his place is in jeopardy, and I think he's he's going to be one of the ones that's going to find himself with lesser game time if he stays. But we're not getting. I mean, Kaiser, I don't know whether he was at it earlier on or not, but Kaiser thinks 23 odd million from a team in the Bundesliga is going to pry him away. That's for me, that, in my opinion, that's a fantasy world. And if Carlsberg done football transfers, then it would certainly be the best. But like I says, he's not even the best player in the team. I don't think Hatate would be put in that bracket. I don't think he's one of Celtic's best players. You know, you look at Jota, Kuhn, Maeda, Callum McGregor, CCV, Kasper. I think there's more players in the team that would go forward as, getting that sort of accolade before Reo Hatate. He's probably one of the mainstays, and he's been one of the mainstays this season. And in the squad. But again, as Plunge says earlier, why do you think that is, JP? And my honest answer would be, I think it's down to experience, because he's been there. He's been there for that time. He's been there 3.5 years. But I think that cycle now, personally, this is just my. I hope I've not upset you tonight, guys. I really do. I'm not meaning to. It's just I'm trying to. I think he's at the end of his cycle, and I think he might move on. I've not heard anything, but I'm just. This is what I think. I think he's one of the ones that could go. Joe Hart's ball patch thinks all the loan players will go. Do you mean the ones that we've got away in loan? Or do you mean the ones we've got on loan? I don't think there's many, is there? I think it's just Jefferey Schlupp. Is it? Is it just, I think it is. Jefferey, isn't it? Is he the only player in the actual first team that we've got on loan? Jefferey Schlupp? I think it is, isn't it? My memory serves me right. Yeah, I think it might be. I think we've got everybody else pretty much on big contracts. Do you mean the loan players as in all the loan players that are out on loan will leave permanently? Is that what you mean? Right. Okay, get you. The ones that are out. Yeah. You could probably say. I would probably go along with that and agree. I know Ryan's mentioned a couple of times to me, even off camera and off this channel, that Lager Bielka's done well. I don't think Lager Bielka will have a place in Celtic's team. I'll be honest. I think if he was going to play, I think he would be here. He wouldn't be out on loan. Personally, I think he'd get kept. Saul Sutherman says Kuhn 10 million, Hatate 5, and CCV 12. This is the thing as well, isn't it? We've got this kind of thing about us with Celtic fans, and I know I have a laugh with Ryan and that, the boys on the channel, but we've got this thing that we want to sell our players. Now, we don't even know if those guys. I'll be surprised if CCV moves on. I can see the other two going. And I think the prices are quite fair. I'll agree with that. But I'll be surprised if CCV moves. I'll be shocked. I don't think Celtic will enter a transfer window where they'll let, especially the senior players, they'll let too many of them go. However, that's not to say, I think personally, coming in the door, there'll be 5 or 6 first team players. Not development players, not youth players. I'm talking about guys to come in and make a difference, to help with what's already there just now. That's my opinion. I think it'll be 5 or 6 that'll come in the door. I've got some, I don't know if you remember that far back. I know I've done a lot of talking tonight. I'm nearly finished. I've got some messages that I kept and saved so that I could go back, if you remember. So I'm going to do that just now, and then I'll give you what I think the team will be for Saturday, and then that'll be me. Nick Conley put in earlier, good evening, JP, hope you're well. What's your thoughts on this potential league reconstruction? My response to that is simply nonsense. Absolute nonsense. How can anybody in their right mind that runs our league and does all the kind of work of that, keeping it going, etc., how can anybody think in their right mind that cutting 2 teams out of the league and taking us back to a 10-team league is somehow a good thing, or somehow progressive forward thinking? It's mental. It's absolutely mental. You look at, all the other options make more sense. Yeah, I mean, 100%. It's totally backwards thinking. Totally. It's nuts. Now, I know I know it's not a foregone conclusion because the teams have got to vote for it. And I would be really, really shocked if 8 teams domestically, 8 teams in the Scottish Premier League are going to vote to take us back to a 10-team league. Yeah, Plunge, I've seen that argument. I've also seen the argument of let's expand it to a 16-team league and everybody plays each other twice. Now, I know that's probably not ideal because Sky will probably pull away for the deal that they have just now. The reason for that is because they like having the 4 derbies. So they put a lot into that, don't they? That's why when that went out to tender, they took it. So it's absolute nonsense. So I really hope they get their heads together and they've got to come up with a better plan than that. Big Rab also put in earlier, what do you make of the striker versus winger? Do we need another top striker? Where in the team needs more or most improvements? Good question. Good question. Yeah. Rab, if you're still watching, mate, I personally think that Brendan is looking for both striker and a winger. The reason I say that is because I've heard David Sterlick's dad go public about 3 times since January. David Sterlick himself went public. This is a boy for Slovan Bratislava. And he was really unhappy that deal for him, it was 9 million quid. The teams had agreed the fee and everything, and then all of a sudden Bratislava pulled the plug on it. So they weren't happy. Him and his dad, I think his dad's his agent or representative, or he looks after him, but they weren't happy. They wanted that move. So I know he's definitely looking for a striker. The lads officials, the lads representatives, the boy they look after the Sondre Osagester. That's one that's not going away. Neither is the Malik Balikwisha chat as well from Belgium, because this lad Balikwisha has conducted a story that he's already agreed a move to Celtic, and that's came to light again over the last couple of days. And then you've got the Sondre Ossegester's lads saying that, that deal was ready to go through for it being a delay of the move for Lewis Palmer. He would have been a Celtic player as well. So that's my thinking behind that, Rab. If you're still watching, I do think Celtic are looking at those positions. And yeah, I think both of them will be filled, mate. So I do think we'll bring in another winger. And I think we will have another striker at the squad, because yeah, I think you can't have enough options, especially for Europe next season. Van Helsing, good evening. Hail, old JP. Hope you're well, Big Ian. Do you think Rodgers will stay because of this news about APL teams coming in? The news is absolute nonsense. I'm not saying that teams aren't looking at him, because I said to Ryan the other day on the phone, teams are not doing their job if he's not on their shortlist. But you'll not believe in, mate. There's no way he's leaving. Not a chance. No, by the way he's talking about building in Europe. I don't think he's, if anything, if he's going to go, it'll be after his 3 year. So, it'll be after his 3 seasons. Parkhead boy, the 3 teams I seen today were Spurs, Man United, and oh God, who was it? Spurs, Man United, Brentford, I think it was. Those were the 3 teams I seen today. Yeah. And ironically, the 3 of them have all still got managers in their positions. None of them have even got a vacancy. I like that reply though. Kelly, Falkirk and Livingston, yeah. Yeah, I don't see Brendan leaving. That's my honest answer. I think he's learned his lesson for the first time also, but he's a man on a mission. And plans are underway for recruitment and all that. And I think what the way Van Helsing, if you're still watching just now, the way to take confidence from that is you look at lads like Kieran Tierney, right? After him signing, Kasper signing a new deal, right? The way football runs now, these guys will have had a chat with him and they've said to him, listen, I'll sign the deal, but are you going to be here? Because there's no point in me signing a deal if then you're ready to go. I mean, Jota signed a 5.5 year deal, Christ's sake. And if he's coming back, under the words of the manager, I've always wanted to work with Jota, and unfortunately I didn't get the chance to do so because he'd moved on. Then there's an opportunity for Jota to come back. One of the first questions has got to be, are you staying? But the way he's talking, he loves it. He's looking at Champions League, he's looking at Europe, he's looking at Celtic progressing. I think a bit of both, Plunge. That's an interesting question, that. Obviously, the player knew Celtic. Didn't really know too much about Brendan. But you're signing for a club under a manager. So actually saying, did Kyogo sign for Rennes, or did he sign for Sampaoli? Or Sampioli, or whatever the way you pronounce his name. Because after a couple of days, Kyogo was he not? Because he was sacked. So I think personally it's a bit of both. And you just look at the way, Matt O'Reilly talks about Brendan and what Brendan brought for his game. And Brendan's got a great relationship with the players. Matt O'Reilly also mentions about how Brendan will sit in the canteen and chat with you and really talk about life and talk about things that are happening in your life. And whereas Big Ange was standoffish and wouldn't get near. So, yeah, it's quite interesting, in my opinion. No. I think we need to find the quality level. I agree with, in terms of you can't then now look to bring in someone else. But no. I wouldn't be disheartened if Celtic, just if I talk to Celtic when I be and got Ange back in. I wouldn't look at it and go, oh, I didn't want him. Of course I wouldn't. But he wouldn't be my first choice. When Ange left Celtic and we had just won the treble, out of all the managers we were linked to at that time, Brendan Rodgers was the go-to man, in my opinion. He didn't have a club. You know, that's a hypothetical thing because Ange is still a Tottenham manager. And I think Ange will still be the Tottenham manager next season. Everybody seems to think Big Ange is going to get sacked. I don't. I personally don't. I think he's going to get given more time. And I think he'll be given into next season. But Big Ange himself will be looking at this season. He'll be looking at the abuse he's had. He'll be looking at things that's happened. He'll be looking at all this. And he might even weigh things up with some of his sale and might say to himself, I don't know if I want to be here next season. Or I don't know if I fancy it again. Who knows? But I don't think Spurs will sack Ange. I think if Ange leaves Tottenham, it'll be on his own terms. No, see, I mean, the thing is, Paul, look where they are in the league, mate. You know, in my opinion, that itself's sackable. I'm being honest with you, mate. I don't think they won the Europa League. I don't think they'll be good enough to win the Europa League. And aye, like I say, it's and I think it's, you know, you look at the league position. For me, that was enough. No, I don't think so, G-Doc. I really don't think so, mate. I don't think so. I really don't think. The reason for that is because his big pal is at Spurs. And I really do think Daniel Levy is going to try and go with us for as long as it can. Because I think he's working a project there. It's certainly going to take him a lot longer to get it together than what he did at Celtic. At Celtic, he brought players who really suited Celtic, who really suited their style. At Spurs, he's inherited deadwood in there that weren't good enough even under the previous managers. So he's still had to go in him because right away he wasn't trusted with funds, and he's spent some money now. But for me, he's been slaughtered with injuries, left, right, and centre. And any time Ange's, it has no, and that's what I've just said there. His injuries have really hurted him this season. Anytime when he's had these players available, you know, you've seen the results they've had. They've went to Man City, they took 4 off them. So they've competed really, really well in certain games. But just this season, that Frank Trimboli is with him. And if he's got a big pull in there, as far as I'm aware. And he took Ange to Spurs. It was him that got Ange the Spurs job. So for me, I think Ange's got a wee bit more time, regardless of what happens in Europe. Because, like I says, his league position is sackable on its own. That on its own would be sackable. Then losing in the cups and, in other games that they've lost in. And he's still there. So he's there for a reason. And it's not because the club just want to stick two fingers up to the fans and, yeah. If Jota wasn't committed to the club, why did he come back? Don't think it was due to Brendan Rodgers being here. I think he's loved as well. It goes back to that thing I said earlier about the accolades. So players don't realise. There's a prime example. Jota. Players don't realise what they've got until it's not there. Until they go away and they realise, Jesus, I'm not the main man in here. I was the top dog at Celtic, or one of them. They used to sing my name all the time. I've even got a song here. And then some are lucky to have the option of getting back here. But for other guys, it doesn't happen like that. Careers can take a nosedive that bad that you fall out the radar altogether. And you fall away from Celtic's recruitment and everything else because you then are the same player as what you were when you came before. And sometimes a lot of people say going back also works the other way for you. Isn't good? Don't do it. Don't go back away. It's as if he's never been away. Jota's under that category. It's as if he's never been away. Kieran Tierney were the same. The thing about these guys, for me, is when they go to these other teams and they go and play with guys like Benzema and N'Golo Kante and Tierney's down in England, he's playing against guys like Raheem Sterling when he was a player, guys like Mo Salah, and he's gone and playing against guys like, Leroy Sané, Sadio Mane, top quality. So when these guys are coming back to Celtic, they're better. They're better players. Why? Because they've been exposed to a much higher competitive level than what they get domestically. That's why when these guys come here, they just shine. And they look levels above what everything else in Scottish football is. Because they are. Their individual ceiling is a lot higher than the guys. I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to the teams here. That's how when these guys go into the Champions League of recently with Celtic, even especially this season, they've not looked out of place because they've been away and they've competed with good players and played with good players and aye, like I says, it's Kieran Tierney coming back. It's not the same Kieran Tierney that left Celtic. No. He's a far better player than what he was when he left. He looks at the game differently, reads the game differently, plays the game differently. Everything's all quicker. You've got to be quicker to play at a high level. But to do it week in and week out, down there, up here, he's gone to McDermott Park, Dingwall, Rugby Park. Coming off the back, he going to the Nou Camp, going to the Bernabeu. It's deflating. It's deflating. Kevin Wilson was on here. He spoke to us. It's deflating. But when you're down south and you're Saturday we're going to Anfield, next week we're going to Old Trafford, next week we're going to the Etihad, next week we're going to, the London Stadium. It's phenomenal. It must be. He must be walking about with a constant smile. Frightening. Absolutely frightening. Right, folks, I've been on nearly 2 hours now. I think it's enough time for me tonight. A wee comment now for Brown Warrior just popped into the chat there. They have to sharpen their reactions and their first touch when playing these guys. If they don't make it, JP. Yeah, sharpen the ends of the saw, mate. I mean, that's it. But not every player that leaves Celtic gets the opportunity to come back. And James, you've just put icing on a cake, mate. That's why we're re-signing Kieran Tierney. By the way, that's why we've had Brendan Rodgers twice. That's why we've had twice, not just once, twice. We've had these guys because of their connection with the club. These guys are Celtic fans as well. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having these guys. We would never have had Brendan Rodgers if he wasn't a Celtic fan. Not in your Nelly. I don't care what anybody says. I'll say it to him blue in the face. Brendan Rodgers is only here because of his connection with Celtic. There is no way we've got a manager of that quality through anything else. And he would have had to take a massive pay cut the first time to come here as well, to what he was on down south. So, we've been privileged, not only once, but twice has Brendan Rodgers been with us. We're privileged, not only once, but twice. Jota has signed for the club. Probably 3 times if you count his loan deal, right? If you want to add that in just for good measure, this is the 3rd time Jota has signed a bit of paper at Celtic. We're privileged now, from the summer onwards, into next season, to have had Kieran Tierney twice. Came through as a youth player, left, went to Arsenal for a big fee, and now he's coming back for diddly squat. Wages. Not even a signing on fee. Well, he might get a signing on fee, but we don't have to pay a fee for him. So we have, like I says, just let this sink in before I go. We have sold Jota and Kieran Tierney for a total of 50 million, and we've re-signed both players for 8 million. And by the way, our board get it in the neck. Wow. Absolute wow. But that's for a different podcast. One more, and then I'm going. JD at the beginning of tonight says, we need a defensive midfielder and a new striker. In my opinion, we are too weak. We need a bit of steel. Yeah, for some time now, we can all agree that the team have probably been looking at number 6, Oliver Abelgard, prime example, James McCarthy, Timoki Iwata, Ideguchi. We've had guys in. Unfortunately, it's not worked out. And yeah, we remain to see what happens now. Will Celtic do a bit of business in there? I really do hope so. We do need a bit of surgery in there, in my opinion. We need a wee bit of steel, as your man said there. And hopefully we get that. We can get a bit of physicality through the middle, because I do think sometimes we are a bit lightweight. And as Ryan says, we are too nice. Joe Hart's ball patch, well done tonight, JP. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure coming on and having a wee chat with you folks. Saul Silverman, same to yourself, pal. Hope you're good. Pat Kidboy, enjoyed the show tonight, JP. And salute to the chat. Thank you very much. Paul McGuire, great podcast, JP. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your comments, guys. And yeah. JP, I think Schlupp could resolve. He's played defensive mid previously. Yeah, unfortunately, he's not played there for us, so we don't know if he'd be used to that system, mate. He's played predominantly as a left wing back, and I do think if he signs permanently, then I do think we will continue to see him at left full back. I don't think Brendan will play him at defensive midfield. I'll be shocked though, and stranger things have happened in football. Paul Maguire, rumours going about that Harry Maguire is coming. He's probably coming to see a game or something, mate. I wouldn't get too excited. He's definitely not coming to play unless one of the boys have offered him a game of FIFA or something and they're doing it live at Lennoxtown. And they're maybe going to do a wee vlog on it. Other than that, you won't see Harry Maguire playing for Celtic. More chance of Jerry Maguire. But, folks, that's time for me to say good night. Just under 2 hour marks. It's been a pleasure sitting here having a chat with you. I do hope you all enjoy the rest of your week and the weekend coming. I'll be back again on Monday night at the regular time of 8:30. For the time being, take care, hail, hail, and we'll see you all again, folks. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.